Welcome to EPG Pathshala. This is Dr. Neelam from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. In this course of social work, in the paper of rural development, I will tell about the module which is related to contemporary environmental issues and sustainable development. This module is again divided into two units. One is about the remote sensing and geographical information system, and second unit would be about social issues, environmental management and sustainable development. Within this module, we will understand the conceptual understanding about the remote sensing as well as geographical information system and how it is being affected or how it is being utilized for rest of the environmental based issues. Because in the technology based eras now we are having a lot of technology like GPS, GIS, GT, lot of other things are there, or many more softwares and applications are there which is helping to get the information about the environment without reaching or without going to the places. So in case of environment, in the contemporary changes as it is being happen in the environment, we are utilizing all these technologies. I would start with the remote sensing. This is the first unit, so we'll cover all these things in the first unit. Remote sensing, I would start. This is actually one of the tool. This is one of the tool which is helping to get the or the map the place or to get the information about the object which is not in direct contact with the sensors. There are different kind of remote sensing technologies. One is the passive sensors or another is the active sensors. In passive sensors, this is the figure also that can reflect like it detects the natural radiation that is emitted or reflected by the object or surrounded area being observed. So this is a kind of overview which we can get into in case of passive remote sensing, that includes film or photography of that. While in case of active remote sensing, this is it emits energy in order to scan the whole object and area, whereupon a sensor then detect and measure the radiation that is reflected from the target. Radar is one of the example of that. And apart from this, you can see there are number of fields, number of sciences or number of disciplines where we can utilize the remote sensing. Like it can be utilized in the remote meteorology to get the weather details. It can be utilized in the oceanography to get the details of the ocean under the water. Glaciology, geology, topography and cartography, agriculture, forest, like this. You can see all the disciplines which is being listed over here. For that we can get forecast or prediction about the concerned discipline. In remote sensing system, actually there are various types. Like this types is based on the sensors which is being used into that. Like first is the visual remote sensing system. Within that, this like our eyes having the same systems. There is a retina, there is a cornea. So in that situation also the same kind of system is there. The sensor, this have two kind of photosensitive cells. One is cones and the rods, like our eyes are there. Second is the optical remote sensing. Within that, it detects the solar radiation that reflects or it is scattered from the earth, that form image, and ultimately it takes a photography of that. In case of infrared remote sensing, that infrared sensors are used. These are the figures you can see for all three situations. Like in first one you can see like that reflect on the retina of the eye and then it gives an image. And in second also optical, like it is taking an overview that comes from there. Microwave remote sensing, in that the sensor which is related to the microwave, that is again two kind, that is either passive or that is active. Next is active. Another is the radar remote sensing. Within that, radar is being used for getting sensors. Satellite remote sensing, in that of course satellite is there. Airborne remote sensing, within that there are downward or sideward looking sensors are used. In case of acoustic or near acoustic remote sensing, this is basically related to the listening thing, or there is a passive sonar that listen for the sound that made by another object, or there is another sonar that is active sonar that emits pulses of sounds or listening from echoes, so that used for detecting. In next slide you can see the figures which is related to radar, satellite or this airborne remote. In case of remote sensing, whatever images we are having, that involves the identification of various target of the image. and those target may be environmental or artificial features that consist of points, line, area. So this radiation is being measured and recorded by sensors. So ultimately it is depicted as an image and product such as an observation of difference between target and their background involves. So in case of visual interpretation, number of different diagrams are there, like tones, shape, size, pattern, texture, shadow and association. In next slides you can see, like there in the slide we can see about the tone and color. There is a difference of tone and color. This is just because of the density as well as the distance which has been taken. In this slide you can see about the differences of the size, means there is a rescaling or the scaling has been done, according to that the size is being varied. Next is about the shape, and this texture is also because of the distance as well as the scaling has been given on that, so it has been changed the texture, and this has been changed the whole pattern also. It is according to the scaling. Next is the geographic information system. This integrates hardware, software, all data that for capturing, managing, analyzing and displaying all form of geographically referred information. This GIS allows the integration of all these data that sets for deriving meaningful information and outputting and information that derives that final map or in a tabular format. So another is GPS, like we are hearing about the global positioning system that has been invented by US Department of Defense in 1973. This is a space-based global navigation satellite system that provides space, location as well as time information in all weather situations in any time or anywhere. This remote sensing can be utilized in many other fields also, that has been listed in the previous slides also, but apart from that it can be utilized in hydrology and hydrogeology. Like it is helpful to forecast about the precipitation, like what are the that can measure accurate level as well as the density of the precipitation also. In case of snow also, like this is related to hydrology, so where the distribution of the water bodies as well as water equivalent, water content, thickness and density all can be measured, or snow packs or runoff, like all these things can be measured with this. Apart from that, it can helpful for understanding the glaciers. This is also one of the important for hydrological cycles in the mountain areas. Surface water as well as groundwater also, because groundwater is also required to get for the agriculture purpose. In case of hydrology, apart from all these listing, it is helpful for understanding the wetland mapping, where it is that it can monitor the soil moisture also. It is helpful for flood or drought mapping. It is helpful for drainage basin mapping or watershed modeling. It is helpful in case of irrigation scheduling. So in that manner we can say this kind of remote sensing technology will be very much useful in case of agricultural purpose also. There is another system within the remote sensing that is called as LIDAR or LADAR, that is LIDAR or LADER, that stands for light or laser detection and ranging. This is the optical remote sensing technology that can measure the distance to or other properties of a target by illuminating the target with light, often using pulses from a laser. This is also the application of LIDAR. It can also be utilized in or it is being applied in many other disciplines, like in agriculture also. It is helpful to identify the pockets or the locations where there is a chances of high yield sections, or where there is a chances of dry land, or where there is a chances of irrigated area. In case of biology and conservation also, it helps to understand the canopy height. It helps to understand the biomass measure or the leaf surface area. In case of geology and soil science also, it is helpful to understand the content of the nutrient as well as the concentration of the nutrient, which is quite more useful for the agriculture purpose. Similarly, it is helpful for hydrology. It is helpful for meteorology and atmospheric environment. Like in atmospheric environment, the example has been given it to understand the cloud composition, to understand the aerosol and rest of the atmospheric conditions. It is helpful for law enforcement also, like it is mentioned to here as an example. It is helpful to understand the speed of vehicle as well as for speed limit also. In case of robotics as well as in transportation also, that is being helpful. As I mentioned about GT, this is the geospatial technology that is also called as a geomatics, and this also helps for visualization as well as measurement, and that is used in various organizations like civilians, business, government and military. This is also helpful in case of environmental predictions like watershed studies. As I mentioned, watershed, this is nothing but a catchment area, so this identify where are the catchment area, what are the possibilities for drainage facilities into the watershed. In flood studies, as I mentioned, ki almost 1/8 portion of the geographical area is flood prone, so it helps to identify the flood prone area, so it could be cure before the disastrous situation could happen. In case of health issues, of course, this is useful with different techniques. And in case of utility studies, as I mentioned, it helps to maintain, update, store the land-based map and electric network of the operation area. Yeah, this is the another unit in the same module. This is the social issues and environmental management and sustainable development. So within this unit, we will discuss about how this environment is having any impact in terms of the society, or the social issues are connected with that, and how it could be managed, and why we are looking for the development in sustainable manner. So basically, these are only three common common environmental issues. Apart from that, there are many more direct or indirect ways of the effect, but these are the like global warming. In that, we are always looking for CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, that is being increased, and that comes. So this is one of the major concern. Acid rain, there is actually different oxides like sulfur and nitrous oxide are there, and other forms of oxides are also there, that is being affected. So that precipitates with this acidic form of the water. So that is the acid rain. Ozone layer depletion, as we all know, this is being depleted, this is being increased the size of that. So these are the three. This is one important concept that is emerging, that is called as ecotourism, that consists with nature-based tourism. That's a fraction of international tourism. Like nowadays we are looking into that, because that would help for the conservation of the ecological balances, because it could be recommended in the places where it would affect less to the environment, or it would minimize the impact and maximize the respect for the host cultures, and it would maximize recreational satisfaction for tourists participating in the activity, and that would increase the economic benefit, of course, in the host country. This is another social issue that emerged because of the environment, that is the concept of displacement. We are having a notion like displacement is always because of underdevelopment, or because of, if it is there is no development, but actually in contrast there is a displacement because of sometimes there are a lot of developmental projects are there, like PowerPoint projects or dam based projects or any other expressway like that. So there is one example you can see in this case, like this was displacement has happened in Narmada Valley project. It was not because of underdevelopment, but some portion has been developed also. Like it is being supposed to be most ambitious river valley development project, and these are some of the figure that I could give you. Like it was considered that 3,200 dams would be constituted on the Narmada. It would construct big dam, medium dam or small dams. So overall almost 419 tributaries has been formed into that, and you can see the figure also, almost 40 to 42,000 families has been displaced. This is the official figure. Apart from that, there might be many more. So in that manner, a big mass has been moved just because of one portion has been developed. So this could also be the causes of displacement. In regarding to displacement, we are having many acts also. This is one act, that is the Land Acquisition Act, that was in the beginning of the 1894. This has been applied, but even then there was lot of concerns, dissatisfaction with the act, because on the part of the people on the ground, the quantum of compensation which was not proper or not sufficient, and there was a delays in payment, and there were many other factors also. And on the part of government, because of the delays in the land acquisition, the challenges and litigation and the delays that was causing, the implementation was also not on time. It was also in question. In continuation of another this acts, there was another act that came, that is called as a LAR Act. Actually, this was a most awaited act, that is a Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act that came in 2011. This seeks to repeal and replace India's Land Acquisition Act that was in 1894. The purpose of this act was including public-private partnership project. And the scope of LAR 2011, that includes all land acquisition, whether it is done by central government or it is done by state government, except Jammu and Kashmir. In continuation of these acts, there was another act, that was Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act. There, in this act, actually there was a fair compensation and transparency has been maintained. So this act has replaced the Land Acquisition Act, which was there in 1894. That was almost more than 100 years old. It has been started in the British rule. Why we are looking for the sustainable development, how this concept has been emerging. Sustainable development, of course, it has been the definition of sustainable development, or the connotative meaning of the sustainable development has been given in the Brundtland Commission that has published its Common Future in 1987. So they have given an official definition of this. Sustainable development means development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations. So this is called as a common future, our common future. So there was a journey in terms of sustainable development with the help of United Nations body that started from Stockholm and it reaches to the Rio. So in these slides you will see how this journey has been moved on. It has been started in Stockholm in 1972, and that has called as a Stockholm Declaration, and almost 100 recommendations on environment assessment, management and support measures has been given into this. Another is Brundtland Commission, that was in 1983. It was established the World Commission on Environment and Development, that is WCED. That was commonly known as Brundtland Commission, or the report was called as Our Common Future, and that report has defined only sustainable development. That came in 1987. After that, in 1992, in Rio de Janeiro, there was another declaration. It was after 20 years of the Stockholm, the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development that was held in Rio, and they have given Rio Declaration, that was 14 chapters has been given. It was called as Agenda 21, and that was adopted by 100 nations or more than that. This Agenda 21 was geared towards achieving sustainable development in the 21st century. There was many follow-up of the Rio Summit. After 5 years of this, Earth Summit was held in 1997. Then after 10 years in 2002, there was World Summit on Sustainable Development that was held in Johannesburg, South Africa. So these were about the journey in terms of the sustainable development, why all these United Nations body was there for convention or treaties, and then they have formed about this. Apart from that, like I have mentioned, there was many social issues which is related to environment concern. So there is one important social issue. We are having genetic modified foods. There are a lot of criticism as well as lot of debates which is going for the genetic modified crops. I would give you in brief about what are the basically advantage which is considered. As this is genetically modified crops, so this is considered, this would be the pest resistant, this would be the herbicide tolerant, this would be more suitable for disease free situations, or it would be cold tolerant or drought, in the sense of it would be tolerant for insect pests as well as it would be tolerant for the vulnerable situations of the environment. So these are some of the positive things, but apart from that there are many critics also, and there are some kind of political interventions also because of the critics are coming out, like no state in India has been allowed them to launch or to experiment over the genetically modified crops even. So because of the rejection of one state, rest of the state also follow the same situation. But till now there is no very scientific evidence is there which would prove that actually genetically modified crops are not suitable. So basically environmental activists, religious organizations, public interest groups, professional associations and scientists and government officials, they only raised about GM crops, GM foods, and they criticized agribusiness for pursuing profit without concerning the potential hazards. Actually the main concern for the genetically modified crops are that it would require a proper kind of proper package of intercultural practices that has not been told to the farmers. So probably because of that it has given a wrong results, or it has given not the suitable results. But the most common concern which was for genetically modified crops comes in terms of environment hazard, in terms of human health risk, or in terms of economic concern. This is one of the example of rainwater harvesting. In Mewar district of Rajasthan, they have tried to conserve the water with the help of traditional water harvesting system. These are the systems that they have created, like Mehrbandi, Nada, means a kind of embankment or a kind of structure has been created just in order to conserve the water or increase the catchment area or increase the infiltration rate of the water. Resettlement and rehabilitation of people when there is a displacement. So next stage is rehabilitation and resettlement, and of course it creates a different kind of situations. Either it is the project which is related to dam, which is related to mines, which is related to expressway, or any kind of national park that disrupt the life of the people who are living over there or where they are moving as their alternative site. So resettlement not only puts pressure on the project affected people, but it affects on the people who have been living in the area that has selected for resettlement. So both the communities suffers, and conflict over resources is a distinct possibilities in future. This is the example of rehabilitation and resettlement. In Tehri Dam, it was constructed on the Bhilanjana river. It was there in the Uttarakhand now, but that time it was in Uttar Pradesh. So almost 100 villages has been displaced. So because of the places from there, they are displacing, and they are going to be settled down. The whole emotional trauma as well as the whole conditions has been completely disrupted. This is another concern, nuclear accidents and nuclear holocaust. Actually, nuclear energy that has been discovered in order to get an alternative source of energy, but most of the time whatever examples we are having in our history for the nuclear energy or nuclear part, that has been given a negative role of the nuclear energy. So we can see one of the case like nuclear disaster and leakages which has happened in Russia in 1986, and that there was a fire and explosion in the nuclear reactor. So because of the radioactive dust, it has been spread in the over many kilometers in the area, and then affected not only Europe, but it has affected on North America also. Like that, there are some figures like more than 1 lakh people has been affected on that. It has been given into the slide. You can get the detail from there. Consumerism and waste product, because as when we are talking about natural resources, so obviously the utilization as well as overutilization comes in our mind. And overutilization, if it means why it is being overutilized, or why we are not able to get our sufficiency for the from the resources. So this is the terminology which is actually the main important reason, like consumerism, this consumption pattern which is depleting non-renewable resources, that is poisoning and degrading ecosystem, and that is altering the natural process of on which life depends. It is being observed that people who are living in industrialized countries, they make up 20% of world population, but they consume 80% of world resources and produce 80% of wastes. So because of all these concerns, we are having some public awareness also. There is a lot of attention from the mass media, from the education system, from the environmentalists, from the activists, which has been given to make aware to the people. Because of that, we are celebrating few days as which is related to environment concern. Like you can see the list of the days. You can see the list of the days, like there are few only. Apart from that, we are having many other days that we are celebrating, or we are actually, it shows our the consciousness towards that. And there are few international standards, international organization for standardization is there. So there are this ISO, this is actually established in Geneva, Switzerland in 1946, that was promoting international trade by harmonizing standards. So this comes under the environment management. And there is another ISO 9000, that is the series of ISO that is for the management of environment. So with this we can understand, if there is resources, So there are exploitation, there are utilization, there are overutilization, and if there is a overutilization, so government also become concerning for that. Not only government but other parties also become concerning that. And as I mentioned, United Nations body has lot of conventions, lot of treaties, lot of meetings and agreements over there, and that ultimately make aware to the public also. So we need to look to utilize the resources, so then only we will able to get the sustainable development. Thank you.